Hi everyone, back again. Today we have something really unusual to look at. It's not an AR-15 and it's not something that you come across very often. I bought this, I can't actually remember where I bought this. It was a long time ago. But anyway, it was supposed to be an H&R, Harrington and Richardson single shot, which it kind of is. But it's a little bit different from what you'd expect because it's a dart gun. It's one of those tranquilizer guns that they use on animals, and it's actually very interesting. So I'm just going to walk you through what this all came with. It came, of course, the gun. The gun was one thing, and then it's a little bit funny, right? You can see right away. There's a scope on it that came with the gun. And it came with these sights, these see-through scope mounts, but there are no iron sights. I don't know, maybe they use the bead at the end to sight, but anyhow, I've shot this gun a lot more than I expected to, and you'll see why in a couple of minutes. So here's how this thing works. These are the darts. So it all starts out with a syringe. So I don't have the tranquilizer on the table. In fact, I don't have the tranquilizer. There were a couple of vials of something that it came with, but I didn't keep those. But I could understand how it worked. So you just take a certain dosage and it's all measured, and then place that dosage into the barrel of the dart, which is this part here. This would be the barrel too. And then this piece here, it may not be easy to see it, is a bit like a kind of like a harpoon. You can see the hook. So that's what hits the animal, and then it gets stuck. And anyhow, the barrel's full of tranquilizer. This piece threads in here. So now there's an O-ring, so that's tight. So now you'd have, I guess you'd have to hold it up. Then into this goes this plunger. And that's not easy. In fact, I don't want to do it because it's very hard to get it out. And this is a charge which detonates on impact. I'll just set it on the table here. And it's detonated by the back of the dart. So something has to push this plunger, which is the equivalent of this piece on a hypodermic needle. So this is pushed forward. Hope I'm not confusing you. This is pushed forward. There's a small hole in the front of the dart, and that ends up going into the animal. And it's all calibrated and measured. So when this thing hits the animal, it gets stuck. The charge detonates. The plunger moves forward. The anesthetic goes into the animal. And you can't shake it loose. So that's that part, the sort of flying hypodermic needle part. Here, the different charges. This is what a charge looks like before it's used, and this is one that I fired. And they say Super X on them, so I guess it's a Winchester product. Just a 22 rimfire blank. But the cool thing is that there are different powers of blanks. So this one I think is the weakest one, and then a little bit stronger, and then stronger still. And you do notice, I've tried them all of course, you do notice by the sound that there's a lot more power, and that affects the trajectory of the dart. And you can of course imagine you could use the weaker charge and the heavier dart, or the weaker charge and the lighter dart, and mixing and matching. I tend to use these shorter darts. They've got a fairly flat trajectory. That's funny to say, but because you can see them flying through the air, they're going slow. But they're remarkably accurate. This is a rifled bore in this H&R, which is actually a Cap-Chur product. We'll focus in on that in a second. Anyhow, so then I should mention that the charges, there are two different charges, and that's the charge that goes here behind the plunger. So of course, if you have a lot more tranquilizer that you have to push out, you need more force. So they have two different charges. This is for 4 through 10 cc's, and this is 1 through 3 cc's. So it's quite a system. Really interesting. I didn't really know what I was getting into, and then once I started playing around with this, I saw how effective it is, and then I decided to do some experimenting. Now this is going back a little ways in time. I made some darts myself just out of aluminum tubing. I didn't know how to order these things, and now I know, but anyway, back then I didn't. And so then I made, just out of arrowheads, different combinations of projectiles, and these fly well. They fly like slugs. I put some lead in the front, so it's a weight forward flight. I can't remember whether I used some of these or had another system for sealing. I think I used some of these, I don't know what you would call this, to seal the bore. Anyhow, and then I decided that these are kind of not that great. So I switched to, I think it was from Italy, 32 gauge shotgun shells. Sorry I don't have the shotgun shells on the table, I used them all up, but they're not hard to find. And I simply loaded a sabot, as you can see, like a wad or whatever, and a 50 caliber round ball. And you know, it's not fantastically powerful, but it sure was fun shooting, and very simple to make, center fire, and so on. Now you're probably wondering what makes this whole thing work. So I'm going to tip the gun toward you, and it's a pretty simple sequence. So this is your dart. Now you've, pretending that we're going to do some work with tranquilizing animals, this is full of tranquilizer. It has the charge, and we insert it into the chamber, and there's a thing called a positioner. They labeled it so you can't make any mistake about what that is, and I actually never used it. This is what holds the 22 blank. It's a removable chamber effectively, and it's offset because you're firing a rimfire round in a center fire gun. So you have to place it off center, and this pushes the dart in. That wasn't as hard as it looked. And then, I can't see, and then the charge goes in there. And that's it. Then if I close this and pull the hammer back, we'd be ready to go. And I probably should take that open. So very simple. How noisy? No, almost silent. These darts are flying around, and you actually can't even hear them. I tested it by having somebody listen while I was shooting, and they more or less saw the dart flying. That's with the lowest charge, and they didn't hear any sound of gunfire. I think that's because it's all subsonic. That makes sense. Anyhow, very interesting. Oh, and I said I would hold this up so you can see. I think this company is still in business, Cap-Chur, but I don't know that they make this model anymore. In fact, I don't know that H&R makes these anymore. They might have been discontinued, but I hear different rumors from different people. I'm not sure if that shows up. Kind of a nice firearm. I mean, the stocks are nothing fantastic, but it's color case hardened, and they always work. So, is there anything else I should mention about this thing? No, it's just an unusual thing that's easy to operate, and if you had some tranquilizer, this would probably work just as it was intended to work. So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. Take care.